Hey guys, welcome back on the channel. So today I'm going to show you the power of compounding. This is Bub, a meme coin that has been around in the Binance Smart Chain for 6 months, I believe, since launch. They had this rally back in August. So you see, it started at the 24th. Previously, they had this smaller rally, which was still quite significant. So this was 73%. And then on this one, we saw over 370%. I believe it went much higher. So yeah, you can see here it went much higher. Actually, let's see the whole thing. So it had a massive rally, right? Very close to 500%. And then there was a lot of volatility, of course, which caused it to be trending. When I saw it trending, I thought, okay, let me throw in $20. Actually, it was 25, not 20. And I was planning to ride the wave on the way down, compound, and then on the way up, start taking profits. In blue, these are my current ranges. I have been managing these ranges in the meanwhile. So I got in, I believe, at around this price here, I think. Something like this, 35. And initially my upside was at around 50 and my downside was here at around 23, 20, something like that, right? But as I saw the progress of the chart and how it was behaving, clearly we were on a downtrend, which we still are on. Some spikes here and there. But what I start picking up was this sort of trend. So you see, it starts to go down, it reaches 18 cents, it then pumps, keeps then chopping sideways, and this is perfect for yield farming. So back here, this was beginning of September. I kept on compounding the whole time. Only recently, last week, I took some of my liquidity out because the APRs were just much lower. Since the beginning, most of the times they were 4 digits APRs, something crazy like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000%. Yesterday it was 4,000% even. So at some point I withdrew some of that liquidity and I set up this range that you see here in the orange lines. So that's something you can do. If you don't want to throw new money into a pool, withdraw some of the liquidity, open a narrow range with that. And the whole point of me doing that was just helping my LP position overall to be worth what it was in the beginning. So I wanted to break even faster so that I could start taking profits. So yesterday when I collected, I broke even. So LP's value was at around $25 once again. But since the price kept going down, so I am still in range. But as you can see, the price here, it's very close to my downside, and probably I'm going to readjust ranges once again in the near future. But like I said yesterday, compounding allowed me to break even, but I could have achieved that even sooner had I not withdrew some liquidity to deploy with this narrow range, because that range, yes, it was yielding substantial APRs, which was my plan altogether, but I missed this pump. Had I left the liquidity untouched, I would have break even October the 7th during this massive rally. So it would be sooner, but overall it's still looking good in my opinion. If we zoom out, we see that the liquidity doesn't really fluctuate all that much on the downside. So we see these rallies in the chart, right? It's a pattern. Something's very weird about this token, but it rallies, then it corrects, it chops sideways, it rallies, corrects, chops sideways, once again rallies, corrects, keeps chopping sideways, although slightly on a downtrend here, slightly, but it's still going down. And then the same thing, pumps, corrects, and now we're entering the phase where it's going to track sideways. So potentially that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to narrow my ranges, which will allow me to probably break even until this weekend, if not before the weekend. And if this pattern keeps repeating itself, I can actually collect fees with a narrow range and then redeploy my liquidity, maybe set an upside range at this resistance level, 30, maybe 35. But looking at the overall chart, we see that even the tops are substantially lower each time that these rallies occur. With this last one, not so much. So we are somewhat at the accumulation level, I would say. But what I like about yield farming this token, and actually yesterday I was already thinking, okay, I should have deployed a couple $100 instead of 20, but that happens all the time when things go according to plan, right? So I look at the chart and I see, okay, there's this rally here, and then after how many days? 7 days, 1 week, we have this other smaller rally, but still a rally. After 11 days, another one, and then this last one actually took longer. So this one happened, let's just count for this first rally here, October 7th. So it was actually 2 weeks, roughly speaking, in between both of these rallies, which is not bad. I mean, like I said, my range was in between these two blue lines, so I kept generating fees, but the volume right now it's still higher than the liquidity, which is optimal when you're yield farming, just hunting for yields. You want to see that. But from here on, if the same last patterns will keep on repeating, now we are going to enter a phase where there's going to be less volume, but the price is going to bounce up and down between a much narrower range. So that means I can squeeze up these ranges, keep generating fees. But the best part of it is I'm very close to breaking even. So let me show you here. This is the pool, 1%. It's a concentrated liquidity pool, 700% APR. I'm managing more than that with my current range, as I will show you, over 4 digits APR. Yesterday it was at 4,000 digits APR. But let's see here the TVL. So the TVL is also on a downtrend. It had its peak on September the 8th, $32,000. In this pool, there's other pools where you can yield farm it, but I believe this is the bigger. You can check that on the X screener. But let me see the liquidity distribution here. So there's a lot less liquidity as the price will go down, which is good. So if I actually manage to widen up my lower range, my downside range, I can get even higher yields because there's going to be less competition here. As you can see, there's still a lot of liquidity deposited on the upside, and there's a lot of liquidity here at around the 445 BUB per USDT price. Current price is 530. So let's check volume here. Okay, so you see why yesterday I was getting 4,000% APR. You see the volume here. These are among the most volume heavy days that the token pair did see since September the 17th, and then only September the 10th comes close to that. But this is the power of compounding, guys. So essentially, let me show you here. Basically, I was compounding pretty much all the time because it was allowing me to lower my entry, and I was waiting for these rallies to happen in order to take profits. So in the next rally, if it comes to be, I can take profits, not only the ship of fees, but also I can withdraw some of the liquidity and keep it at $25 worth, for example. And I'm saying that because $25 was my initial. So you see the position is this one, unclaimed fees 50 cents, which is already 2%. As I compounded yesterday at night, we're not yet even 24 hours after that, and it already generated 2% in fees. No wonder, because you see the APRs here are just insane. This goes to show, guys, even with this range you can get really high results. But imagine if I squeeze this down, I'm going to get 4,000, 5,000% APR, and if the price keeps chopping sideways, that's going to print for sure. Although it's just $25, it's just a proof of concept, guys. Let me switch up the price here. So you see the minimum 18, maximum 30, current price 18.8. So during the weekend, maybe even before, I probably will be able to break even. The risk is that if instead the price doesn't start chopping sideways as it did before, it keeps going down, that's going to be an issue. But if that comes to be, I'll need to go back here, try to find the floor, something like this at around 15. Probably it's going to hold for long enough without going below this price range, and it will allow me to break even. And from there on, it's just a matter of start taking profits, taking some risk off the table. So in case that I will redeploy the liquidity with a new range, it would then look something like this. On the downside 15, on the upside I'll probably leave it as it is, 20, 21. But this is only in the case that I see the price to keep going down. As it is right now with 4 digits APR, I think it's worth it to keep on compounding for the next few days. But probably what will happen is that I'm going to go out of range. Probably that's what I am anticipating with this one. And essentially that's it, guys. This is what I wanted to share with you, the power of compounding. Actually, when I jumped into this pool, it was because I had in mind the idea of showing how compounding when prices are low and then taking profits when they are high can work really well in the long run. And so far, although I have not taken profits yet, it's still looking good because I'm very close to breaking even with a much lower price than it was back when I entered it. So that was the whole plan since the beginning. Compound on downtrends when prices are low to take profits on uptrends or when prices are higher. As you compound, you will lower your entry. That's what I wanted to share with you on this video, the power of compounding. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, guys. Thank you for watching. Take care. Keep exploring crypto. I'll see you on the next one.